Yes, question.
Two questions. I have been told that one needs a small bit of THC.
Excellent.
CBD to activate the pain.
Excellent. Excellent. Misnomer. Absolute misnomer. Completely untrue. Otherwise, so my store, I sell all my CBD products have 0 THC. And I'm growing every month by 10%. I now have 3 stores. I'm getting ready to open a 4th store. So that is a misnomer that is very, very popular on the internet and other things, that you need THC to activate CBD. Absolutely not true. In fact, Christopher Shade is on some of my web videos. He's the authority, and he's the one I learn a lot of what I know from. Christopher Shade is the authority for cannabinoids in America. He's a genius, dual PhD. And he says you do not need THC to activate. In fact, THC strikes one receptor in the brain, the CB1 receptor only. So THC doesn't have any anti-inflammatory benefits whatsoever in the human body. It does have some benefits for pain. It does have benefits for neurological toxicity. It does have benefits for nausea. It does stimulate the vagus nerve. But you do not need THC for CBD to work or to bind to these receptors. Excellent question.
Then the other question, the compounding pharmacist that I use, he said that one has to be, again, very careful where you get your CBD oil, because the hemp plant naturally is a soil cleanser.
That is correct.
It takes heavy metals.
Bingo. You can plant hemp in a field where there's heavy metals in the soil. Someplace in Detroit where there's a bunch of fuel left over from an old, body shop. And the hemp will actually remediate the toxins. It'll absorb it through photosynthesis, and 2 years later, you can plant a rose garden. But it is being absorbed through the plant. But the plant is also very good at purging toxins from itself. But that is absolutely very true. So my store only buys certified organic hemp from labs that get it from industrial hemp farms that are certified with the US government. There's something called the Hemp Farm Bill of 2014 that President Obama signed. That was the beginning. And now, thank God, President Trump just signed the Hemp Farm Bill of 2018, which now allows hemp to be cultivated in any state in the United States as long as the congressmen approve it. We're going to be growing hemp now in America, and you will see in our lifetime homes being built out of hemp, because pests don't go to it like termites. It's very, doesn't go moisture, doesn't affect it, doesn't get mold, right? It's an amazing product. So excellent question. Yes, sir.
So I'm going to ask you then, are there better places to get hemp from? Like we had a chance to invest in Colorado, or are there different places that have better hemp production?
So all hemp farms have to be certified with the US government through licensing. And they are very, just like the dispensaries here in Arizona, the dispensaries are governed by the health department. The health department is going into the dispensaries all the time, making sure they're testing their cannabis, making sure it's pure. I mean, they're doing the best they can, but they're not watching everybody. But the fact is that as long as it's certified organic from the US Department of Agriculture, that would be a good quality product, because they have standards in place to make sure the soil it's growing in and everything are pure. Now, people cheat. We know that. In America, it's about making more money. I mean, there's no secret why we're growing chickens and cows so fast, so we can get it to market, so we can get the money for it, right? So that's no different. However, people come in the store and will say things like, oh, I have to get my CBD from Colorado because it's the best place. It's not true. But it is important to get it from a quality source. And the chain of custody is the most important to me personally, because I have a company that I'm dispensing this material to people, and I don't want to ever get caught having a product that's not pure and actually sanitary. So what that means is ultimately ISO certified lab, organic hemp, the chain of custody tells you where it was grown and what lab synthesized it, right? Chain of custody. If someone's growing it here and another lab is extracting it here and another lab is doing something else and then another lab is formulating it, you have a chain of custody of 4 different people. That's not good. I wouldn't consider that a good thing. I want my chain of custody to be farm to lab, and that's it. 2 chains in the command before it gets to me. So the longer the chain in the command, the dirtier it can get. That's a good question. Yep. Anyone else?
You went through a lot of material really quickly here because of the time limit.
This is on my website.
Yeah.
This is on my website.
Do you have like workshops or anything that you do through the year?
We do, yep, at the store. About every quarter or so, we'll bring people into the store and we do workshops at the store.
For those of us who came in a little late, what's the website of yours?
azWHOLEistic. That's azWHOLEistic. Holistic. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
To come into your store, we have to bring a prescription from the surgical.
No. When I said that doctor sends people into my store with a piece of paper, he just writes on it. Because doctors are used to writing on prescriptions, and it'll just say, go see azWHOLEistic, speak with John, and get 60 milligrams of CBD a day for your irritable bowel syndrome. It's a handwritten note. And what I was saying is we will not start that person at 60 milligrams. We will start them at between 5 and 10, allow their body to get used to it, and then we'll titrate them up slowly, again, to make sure you're not taking more than you need. Okay? Yes, question?
Is there any value in products that have, like hemp milk, for example? Is that like
Yes, good for you. Hemp protein. We sell hemp protein in the store. It has 6 of the amino acids that your body doesn't make. So yes, hemp products are very healthy for you. Now there is a misconception with hemp seed oil and hemp extract. Hemp seed oil is basically cold pressed from the seeds of the hemp plant. That is like olive oil. It's good for you, but it does not necessarily contain the cannabinoids that heal the body like what we discussed. Yes, Larry?
How do you know when the tincture you're taking, you've reached your optimal point of
Saturation or whatever in the body? Yeah, it's really the person has to basically be, again, the first slide, be aware of your body. If you take 5 milligrams and you don't feel anything, bump it to 10. If you have something going on in your body that doesn't cause you any pain and it's not showing you a symptom, how are you going to know it's working? That's tough to tell. But typically most people have a symptom. They have pain, they have inflammation, they have headaches, they have something that they know they're going to see a result from the CBD at the right dose.
So if you have no issues, do you take it, do you recommend it for medicinal purposes?
Yes, there are many people that come in the store because their son or daughter or mother or father are taking it with great results and they say, I don't really have any issues, but I've heard this is just good for me. We have athletes that come in the store, bodybuilders and professional golfers. We have a couple of professional golfers that come in and they take it just so they can recover from their workouts. Because of some of the things we discussed in the workshop, it causes a protein synthesis. So your body can recover from working out faster than what it could without the CBD. So I would suggest that a lower dose, 5 or 10 milligrams a day, would be just a good multivitamin type of dose, just to get some cannabinoids in the bloodstream and let it do some of that influencing? That's a good question. Yes?
Do you think that CBD oil may be helpful in someone who's using those PTI digestive, just it's stopping all the acid in their
Yes.
tract, which seems
Yes, we've seen people with glaucoma. We've seen people with that have gastro issues, or they have what's it called when? Thank you, GERD, acid reflux. Thank you. And sometimes that can be a problem with the sphincter, right? The sphincter is opening, it's staying open, and it's allowing the gastric juices and the acid to come up. So if that sphincter isn't working because of inflammation, and CBD helps to reduce inflammation, that sphincter could very well go back to functioning properly. But if it's a chronic issue, it does help to balance out gastroenzymes, though. I will tell you that. We've seen amazing results from people with colitis, irritable bowel syndrome. We had a client come in a little while back who had tumor necrosis in her gut. She had colitis for so long, she had tumors in her lower intestine. 12 weeks of CBD, she went back to her doctor, it was completely gone. Absolutely amazing. Yes, question?
I have a question, CBD versus pharmacology. Would this be used in addition to prescribed medication or eventually?
It's a good question.
off that pharmacy?
I would say 80% of the people that come into our store are on some prescription medication, if not one, many, for different conditions. So far now, CBD is known as being a nociceptic, so that doesn't cause harm to the body. But we have seen in a few rare cases where people on different prescription medications have a negative side effect when introducing CBD. The only thing I've personally seen was one woman who was on blood pressure medication to lower her blood pressure. She started her CBD protocol and it lowered her blood pressure a little too low because she took too much too fast, right? So obviously she got a little dizzy. I'm like, no, back off on your dose and talk to your doctor. We never tell someone to stop their prescription meds, but I will honestly tell you that probably 75% of everyone that's ever come into our store that's been on a prescription med, whether it's a statin for cholesterol, whether it's something for diabetes, whether it's something for depression, once they get on CBD and they get balanced and they feel balanced, they wean off the prescription meds. So the pharmaceutical industry does not like us very much because we've gotten people off of tons of medications, and now they're functioning very, very well. Yes, another follow-up?
I was going to ask you, is it temporary or permanent? I mean, does this become a permanent part of your lifestyle?
Excellent question. So depending on the condition, the body again can heal. So if cannabinoids are upregulating genes, right, and reducing inflammation, allowing your body to get back to homeostasis, that condition, like my hips, I'm not bone on bone anymore. My hips regenerated. So that condition for me healed. And I had these orthopedic surgeons telling me at 40 years old, you won't be walking at 50, John. Your hips are so bad, you will not be walking at 50. You have to have your hips replaced. And I said, no. And I did a lot of deep meditation, lots of meditation for many, many years that I believe healed my body. But the other thing I did is I stopped doing all the stuff that was beating my body up, right? So I used to surf and skateboard and snowboard and play volleyball and all these things that were beating me up. Good example, we have a client that comes into the store, they play tennis every weekend, they're doing this. And he's like, I gotta take CBD for my elbow. I'm like, well, what are you doing to heal the elbow? He goes, what do you mean? I said, well, what are you doing to let it heal? He goes, what do you mean? I said, you gotta stop playing tennis. He's like, no, I'm never gonna stop playing tennis. I love playing tennis. I just need CBD for the pain. I'm gonna do this every weekend. The elbow's never gonna heal. It's as simple as that, right? Yes, sir, you were waiting, I know.
We've had fairly good success with arthritic pain, inflammation, particularly in my neck and joints and things like that. It isn't a cure-all, but boy, it can really take it all away and really help a lot, particularly if I supplement the drops with topically applied.
Correct,
cream.
stacking using 2 protocols, very
So
effective.
Talk to me about topically applied treatments.
So topical goes right on the region, okay? Depending on the material that it's suspended in, all the topicals that we sell are 100% natural. There's no emulsifiers, there's no sulfates or phosphates, so the material will actually change depending on the weather. Just like if you cut some fresh peppers and made salsa, it's going to taste different today than it does next week. It's 100% natural. So some people don't like the fact that our topicals change with the barometer. They get a little thicker when it gets colder, they get a little oilier when it gets warm, but it's 100% natural. So it soaks through the dermis of the skin, goes into that region and penetrates the area that has the inflammation. But remember, I want everyone to know this before you leave. What you put on your skin goes into your bloodstream, including sunscreen. I'm in the process of now formulating a CBD sunscreen because when you look on the back of a label of sunscreen and I see these people slathering their kids with sunscreen, I want to cry. I swear to you, I want to cry. Now their son or daughter has autoimmune deficiency. Don't tell me that that toxin in that sunscreen had something to do with that, right? So we want to keep the toxins out of the body. Skin is the largest organ, very, very good. But when CBD gets into the bloodstream, it's flowing throughout the autonomic system, so it's still going to get in the brain. Perfect example, we had a woman in the store 2 weeks ago. She bought our 500 milligram pain cream and she wanted to put it on her knee. She put a little dab on her knee. She called an hour later and said, John, I'm in bed. I'm so dizzy. What's up with that CBD? I'm like, wow. That's the first time in 3 years anyone has ever gotten dizzy in the brain from a topical CBD because it got in her bloodstream and it went up into the brain and it started to modulate and she got really relaxed from it. So topicals are a very good way, but again, we always start low and only increase the dose as needed. But using it systemically with an oil or a tincture at the same time, double relief. Double relief. Yes. You had a question in the back.
What about vitamins?
No negative interaction with CBD. In fact, it helps the vitamins synthesize very effectively within the body. Yep, good question. Yes?
I don't need to dominate because I know I've had my turn, but two other, is there any contraindicators if one's being treated with chelation for heavy metal toxicity or if there's a SIBO overgrowth? Are there any reasons you shouldn't do CBD?
Good question. There's more research being done on contraindications with CBD because it does have modulatory effects on the immune system and all these things. We haven't seen any negative side effects from CBD with other prescription meds, but we have seen some people are suggesting that their prescriptions aren't working as effectively now because the CBD almost seems to take over. But the only thing I could say about that, I mean, I would say brutally honest, everyone's body is totally unique. So we tell everyone that leaves a store with a product, be aware of your body. And if you have any side effects or any unwanted symptoms, stop taking it or limit the amount that you're taking, okay? Be cognizant of how your body's responding to it. But by and far, the majority is great benefits, you know, less issues.
So one should be able to integrate CBD too.
Yes. There's enormous studies going on right now. I just read one from one of my medical clients that's a physician that's prescribing it. There's all sorts of new studies being done for that. Anyone else have a question before we leave? Edibles longer to digest. Fully digest, assimilated, takes a lot longer to get in the bloodstream. Inhalation, fastest way. We don't call it vape, we call it nebulizing your medicine because it's a vapor, it's not a smoke. There's no decarboxylation going on here, folks. There's no smoke, there's no tar, no nicotine, it's a vapor. No, it's not. We have people that use it for valley fever all the time, knocks it right out. So inhalation is quick. As soon as you inhale CBD into the lungs, we have people that are no longer using their corticosteroid inhaler for asthma. And it's in the lungs and it's in the brain within seconds. Then we've got tinctures a little slower, and then any edible is even slower. Yes?
What about pets?
Oh, they have the same receptors. You do not need to get vet-approved CBD, guys. The vets are now getting in the business and they're making these complicated things. The same hemp seed oil or hemp extract that we use for your cat or dog or horse. We've got equine specialists giving it to horses for anxiety. Yep. Any other questions?
Your fourth store, where is it going?
Gilbert.
Pardon?
Gilbert. Yep.
Anything in
North Scottsdale is next. North Scottsdale's after that. Yeah. And it's going to be up north here for all you folks that live up here in the most beautiful area. Yes? Yeah, so it's a hormone, right? Prednisone, steroids. We've got a lot of people that use that. We haven't seen any contradictions from that. Yep, contraindications. Yep. Yes?
How do we find your web videos?
Right on the website, on the home page, scroll down about halfway. There's 3 main videos there.
Okay, and your website is?
azWHOLEistic.com.